Hey everyone, the cat says hi too. So I'm putting together this little mini course about deep healing techniques I used during the pandemic. I came up with them, and and they were very effective. And I'm hoping that they could be also helpful to you during your deep healing journey, which I think comes to us at different times in our lives. But for some reason, the pandemic just kind of expedited that process for a lot of people. So I figured this was the perfect timing to get it done. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this is not a one size fits all approach. It's what worked for me, which might be different for what works for you, but hoping that what I do share inspires you to look inward, listen to your body, uh, test a few things, and find out what's the right fit for you that's going to help you move forward. Before getting started, I would love for you to take a little bit of time to thank yourself for showing up during this time. It's not easy to look within and observe the heaviness that you carry with you and the desire, the commitment that you want to remove the heaviness so that you can feel more light inside and carry on with life in a more vibrant way. So first start by thanking yourself and by giving yourself so much compassion, because we don't control what necessarily happened to us, the people we bump into at different stages in our lives, and unfortunately many of them didn't do their own healing work, so we were just bumping at certain times that just affected us in certain ways. So giving yourself grace during this period of time is really important, because it takes that level of internal empathy and self-love to get through this journey. Something I recommend you keep around with you during this time that could be very useful is a journal. Whether that's a physical journal where you write things down, a virtual journal where you're typing, or from directly from your phone, whatever works best for you. But you want to be able to write down all your emotions, and because this is data, and as you're analyzing these emotions, after you go through the painful phases, it turns out that these emotions provide a lot of feedback for the type of patterns that you're going through. So keep a good journal, and when you look at it after you've written all the emotions, when you come back and look at it with fresh eyes, just observe, look for the patterns, and that's going to help you get unstuck a lot faster. Another thing that would be very useful is to keep some kind of chart where you can keep track of your progress. This is something I wish I would have started from the beginning, and instead I was trying to just keep it all mental maps and mental notes, and seeing like, oh, that was the logic that got me to this, that was the logic that got me to that. So if I could go back in time, I would have a chart, and every major milestone I would write down, okay, this is what happened in this part of the healing journey. These are the observations, and this is basically how I am releasing the knot, because it's hard to keep track of everything because you keep going in these cycles. So if you have this visual representation that you can refer back to, is really helpful, so that you don't have to basically reinvent the wheel and go through a cycle again to unlock it. You already have the tool, so you just have to remember that piece going back to it. About going in cycles, to the way to think of it is it's picturing an onion. An onion has deeper and deeper layers. So the way I would look back at my healing journey is that there's this outer layer that I worked through, and I was able to unlock the little knots, and then I could go into the deeper layer, unlock those knots, and go deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's what I mean by going in cycles. And it's good to keep it track of that, because it can be very discouraging. You feel like you're going back and repeating some kind of story, or going back and repeating like a part of your journey that you already went through, but it actually turns out that you are just going deeper into the onion, and you're releasing that. So having those differentiations about where exactly you are within the onion, it's really good. for your sake, and also to just keep like a form of encouragement and a form of celebrating milestones, because this is a very difficult journey. Uh, and unless you've been through it, it's you know it's it's one of the most challenging things that you can go through in life. And so the way to get through any journey is to have some sort of constant celebration. And that's how I think of like looking back at this visual onion that I'm referring to. It's the cat. it's it's making sure that in each one of those little milestones you are giving yourself a lot of grace, a lot of love, and a lot of encouragement, because you are making it through. So even though it feels like you're repeating stories, it's not always repeating the exact same thing within the story. And but keep track of it so that you can help get yourself out of it quicker. One of the hardest parts about the healing journey is the experience of coming across triggers, which are very painful moments where your body feels it, you feel so much contraction. It's hard. And as a former earthquake engineer, the way I think of it is, at some moment in time we experienced an earthquake, basically when we had where the wound was formed. And the triggers are like the little aftershocks that come after in time. And ideally, if you focus on each little aftershock, if you spend the time and write out in the journal, like I was saying, analyze your emotions, understand the pattern, release the tension, close that little knot. And if you go through that very thoroughly, then what happens is that energy has been like dampened, such that the next little aftershock, it's smaller and then smaller and smaller and smaller. And so that's like encouraging for you to put in the effort to unlock those painful moments. And I know it's hard to think of triggers as a good thing because they're really painful, but they're actually a way of showing us where the pain remains. Like what's still giving us pain, what is requiring of us to look within to release. I'll mention is the power of changing environments. And if that means relocating to a different part of the house or rearranging furniture, or in some instances even like moving out of your current location and moving to some other place, because sometimes we attach emotions to the physical space that is around us during that period of time. So what could help us get through those milestones is just changing the dynamic. Something about it just shifts the energy and creates a clean slate. So if there's ever a moment where you have oversaturated the emotions in a space, consider rearranging things. You can start with the furniture, with like the setup in some way. Then if it's more painful, you can escalate and see if there's another part of the house that you can relocate to. Um, and then you can go from there into just leave the entire house altogether and move somewhere else, or it's or changing your routine. That's another way of shifting the environment, like changing gyms that you go to, changing your schedule, basically just shifting the energy to give yourself a renewed opportunity as you work through the next knot, and then the next knot and the next knot. So when you go through this process, listen to your body, listen to what it needs. And if there's ever a moment in time where you feel stuck, then it might be an opportunity to shift the environment somehow. And then see if that changes your mood, if that changes the dynamic. Last but not least, protect your peace during this time, because you're in a more vulnerable state. So it's even more important than ever to protect your peace. Create those safe spaces for yourself, at home or outside the home, where you're working through this difficult pieces and the knots that you're releasing. Create those safe spaces. Come up with certain protocols that are gonna help you automatically like exit a situation that's not gonna be conducive to your healing and your growth process. So think about that. Think about peace, protecting that peace, so you can look inwards. If it helps to have like a close friend that you can talk to about just letting them know that this is what you're working through, like go for it. If they're supportive friends, or somebody in your family that you feel comfortable talking to them about the fact that you're going through this. Not everybody has to know. It's whatever you feel comfortable, but it is nice to at least confide in somebody, even not to the extent that you share every single detail, but just letting them know, hey, during this period of time, I'm doing a lot of deep healing work. So just keep that in mind. If I'm not as responsive, if I'm not hanging out or doing the things that I would normally do because I'm going inwards and just releasing a lot of this tension and a lot of these contractions so I can feel lighter and to make that investment in my well-being. So yeah, just give someone, at least somebody, some heads up that you're going through some of this, to just, keep that in the back of their mind. And this could also be an opportunity to seek counseling or therapy. Uh, it's not what I did during this deep healing journey, but it's something that I would recommend others to do. Now, I want to thank you for staying through and listening to all of these videos. I wanted to make it quick, short, simple, just to give an overview of some of the techniques that I used during my deep healing journey. And I hope that you can maybe apply some of them if you think that they might be a good fit or not, or to at least be inspired to figure out what's best for you, and to have the encouragement to do the hard thing, which is deep dive and do this healing work. But it's the best investment that you can make in yourself, because it's a lot harder to carry so much weight with you all the time and so much heaviness, and then having to rely on, so many things to try to numb yourself, to try to forget about it. And I understand that's human nature. We don't want to be experiencing pain. It's hard. But, just making that investment on yourself to heal, to remove that heaviness, and to just have a higher quality of life experience because you're lighter, that's really important. It goes a long way. So remember to thank yourself every step of this journey. Keep being your best cheerleader. Keep encouragement during those extra difficult triggers. The moments that feel like you're falling apart and you can't do this anymore, like, just have that faith within that if you just trust the process and go through it, if you just unlock more knots, that you'll get through this process a lot faster and feel better at the end of it. So keep that in mind when you face those tough moments in this journey, and yeah, know that when you come out of this, it's gonna feel so much more amazing than even before you started the deep healing journey, because it unleashes so much. It's like even stuff that you didn't know you were carrying can be like released. It's quite incredible. So thank you again for making that time and that investment in yourself, and listening to some of the things that I tried and found that worked for me, and for you to do the same and figure out what works best. And I wish you the best in this journey, and I hope that you can look back and be really proud of yourself for making this level of investment in your well-being. And best of luck in the journey ahead.